My pick of the week, me being Jackson, was the 2018 film Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms, which is about the life of Maquia, who is an Eorf, which is basically just like some really long-living race. They like to make, what the fuck? He be all just, they make like fucking, they like weave shit. That's the whole shtick, and they like weave like their life's work into it, or like their life story into the Hibial, and it's very important to them. Their fucking village gets raided by some empire because they want to harness the power of the Eorfs to enhance their bloodline, and Maquia gets fucking estranged because of that, and we end up following her, just like basically her journey through life as she raises a child she finds quickly after, you know, being fucking separated from her tribe. We get to see her raising the kid, their eventual separation, and then the ending point of the child's life, because obviously she vastly outlives him. It's a very touching movie. It's also an anime movie.
Fun fact, this won Best Animation Film at the 2018 Shanghai International Film Festival.
That's insane.
Pretty good.
Man, I thought this was a pretty cute little movie, you know. It does have fantastic world building in it. The relationship between Maquia and Ariel, terrible name, by the way. Why'd you choose that one? Doesn't she know it's the name of a Disney princess? Their relationship is very sweet, you know. Initially, then it gets a little bitter, but then it becomes bittersweet, which is really nice.
Okay, but like, tell us how you actually feel.
That is how I actually feel. Until we get to the final quarter or so of the film. That's when shit gets, ooh, very similar to the second Harry Potter movie for me, you know, where like shit just goes so fucking off the rails. Like the plot starts moving at just lightning speeds at that point, and just it feels like they're just trying to fucking cram as much shit into that time as possible, and as a result, just none of it makes sense anymore. It's horrendous. I hate that portion of the movie. Initially, we were watching this because Jackson and I had watched this previously. When we were watching this, I had remembered that I feel like I didn't really like how this movie ends, but like it's going so well right now. I'm really enjoying this. It's the emotional impact is there for me, you know? This is almost bringing me to tears. But then after the big fucking time skip, it's like, well, they keep talking about all the shit that happened during that time skip, and I wish I just saw that stuff instead.
Okay. Yeah, I liked this one. I agree, great world building. I think that's the thing it does best, is I find this world so interesting, and I like being in it. I think it's a solid story. I think this one is a better love story than a lot of the other anime films we've seen, even though it's like centered around like the love between a mother and her child, but I do wish it kind of explored immortality a bit more. They hit the beats you expect them to, but they don't really go any deeper than that. I don't get the sense that Maquia ever really questions or wrestles with her immortality. She's just kind of like, yeah, I'm immortal, that's the thing. And then goes through her life just like not really thinking about it. I don't agree with Nico on the ending. I can see his point that like they started shoving a lot of stuff in there,
and just think of how convenient everything is there too. Just like everyone is in the exact right place they need to be at any given time, dude. Like what the fuck is up with that? Especially when like the fucking one queen chick or whatever jumps off the building. To her knowledge, she's just committing suicide in front of her daughter. But oh no, it's okay. You know, Maquia's coming by on the last dragon. It's all good, guys.
That specifically, I agree, was pretty goofy, but like I liked, you know, that we got to have a bit of a cool action scene at the end where like all the different threads are coming together for this conflict that's been kind of brewing in the background as we watched it.
Yeah, I like agree and disagree with Nico. I do think the Achilles heel of this movie is its pacing. I think this movie would be substantially better, dare I say substantially better, if it had like an extra half an hour, maybe even like 20 minutes, just for some, maybe just to give some more context to stuff that's happening on that ending scene, and also just fleshing out a little bit of the earlier parts, like the first like three quarters of the movie, because there are definitely some scenes, like some emotional scenes, where it's like, this feels out of place almost. Like the scene that comes to mind to me the most is when she kind of flips out at Ariel because she's really stressed out about not being able to get a job, and she comes home and sees Ariel trying to make a fucking Hibiol. And goes off on like him like never listening to her and like being awful, and I'm like, what the fuck? He's always like seemed like the perfect child whenever we see him. So there's not a lot of context behind that. There's a couple other scenes like that I feel like we should get some more context, just some like maybe some like minor just setting shots even to fill out the story and provide more to the ending. But yeah, I don't fully agree with what Nico's saying. The fucking dragon thing at the end when the whatever the fucking name, her friend tries to kill herself is pretty goofy, but it's a cute scene, whatever. The rest of it though, I feel like you could kind of make explanations for it, like fucking Ariel is coming home straight from the castle to his wife. We know that Kryl, or whatever the fuck his name is, is going straight to that castle as well, so I feel like it's pretty realistic that they're kind of on like the same trajectory of a path. Ariel seeing her in the battlefield in that area is a little strange, but I feel like you could make an argument for it. Maquia being in that area though, because Krim's going the same direction to the castle along the main road to get to the fucking castle, I feel like it's pretty reasonable to assume that this could all likely happen. So I'm not that fucked up about it though. I do agree the pacing is pretty fucking quick, but I think it's blown over as an issue mostly just because the emotional impact of a lot of these scenes, I think, kind of just makes it a non-issue for me for the most part. Like I get really caught up in the moment of everything that's happening that I don't really pay attention to these minor nitpicks from myself. I think this movie's fucking awesome. I don't know if I described that before. This is one of my favorite anime movies. I agree, the world building's fucking awesome. I think the animation and the art direction is really well done. There's a lot of really clever scenes in this movie. I do think it's fucking awesome that they actually did 2D animation of the dragons. That is very rare. Obviously, they do have some 3D scenes of the dragon, but like some of the initial scenes are 2D. That shit's hard as fuck to animate. That's a lot of respect there. Mm-hmm. I don't fully agree with Tanner's thing on like the passage of time and maybe Maquia addressing her immortality more. I don't think it's that big of an issue, mostly just because she was kind of raised on this knowledge and it's kind of ingrained into like what their society is. So I think they're just kind of fine with it, especially because they talk a lot about like the clan of partings, and I think that's a good way of describing who they are and what a lot of these like their mystical creatures kind of are. I think it's fine.
You'd think though that once she leaves her village and she's in the realm of like non-immortals, that stirs up some thoughts to her though. No, like I can understand that she's spent her whole life around other immortals, and so there's a lot of
scenes
immortal.
Of her wrestling with the fact that she is going to like outlive these humans though, and I feel like that is kind of what you're talking about in some sense of like she was really sad when the dog died because that made her think about that she's going to outlive all of these people that she's grown to love over time. She's constantly thinking about the death of Ariel potentially and that she's going to have to leave them eventually. She's always having the words of the elder resonate with her, and it even comes back later into the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's fine, honestly. I'm totally fine with the way they explore it personally.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I was unsure about the pacing at the end as well. Mostly just because I remember catching myself at one point thinking like, alright, what the hell is going on? What did I miss? Like, did the movie skip? But, I mean, I don't care too much for, coincidences, I guess, in a sense. I think in a way, like Jackson was saying, you could probably draw conclusions as to why everybody was in the same area at the same time. And the whole, like, wrestling with immortality thing, it was also, like, she was trying to, like, it's when Jackson was talking about that Maquia was, like, estranged. Because for some reason, being an Eorf in the mortal world was just, like, something that was, like, heavily looked down upon. Like, she was always being judged almost at any given moment. So, aside from the fact, like, yes, she was, like, realizing, like, with the dog dying, she was realizing, after she talked with the traveling merchant, and so he was like, oh, you're gonna outlive him, why would you take care of him, all this, and you're just a child, blah, blah, blah. And then, but she's really just trying to, at some point, the thought of, like, being a mother, taking care of Ariel, trying to live her life, focusing on what she needs to do to move forward and, like, trying to find the other Eorfs. I think that, like, outweighs the thought of her thinking about her immortality, because it's just, like, such a, like, a casual thing. It's, like, something that's on the back burner, isn't really brought to her forefront until, like Jackson was saying, when the dog died. But yeah, I mean, this movie, like, enticed a lot of emotion throughout the entirety of it. I thought it was very sweet. I thought it was very touching. I like how the animation style was very different. I think it was very well done. And I thought it was like, because Jackson asked me about it like a couple days ago, but I was like, yeah, I felt like I wanted to cry like the whole movie. I just never really got there. And at the very end, when they started like basically recapping the movie and like settling on this is where this chapter of her life ends and where her next one starts, and truly fulfilling the Clan of Partings, which I thought was a really elegant touch to like kind of put a bow on top of it. That's like when it fucking broke out. That's when the emotions like flooded in. So I think this movie executed its emotions fairly well. But yeah, I thought this was a sweet movie. I thought it did a lot of things very well.
I agree. I just like all the characterization too. I think it's cool you get to see like the head night guy age over time and just his general standpoint and position on it. Like, he was just like doing his fucking orders, but he still has a lot of fealty to the fucking Eorf that they imprisoned because, he's the one working with her. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting seeing Krim's just like total fucking descent into insanity because he's just like so broken by like all his friends dying and his like one true love being fucking captive for years. I also don't think it's that big of an issue with like the big time skip. Like, we're following Maquia's life throughout this entire movie, and she gets fucking imprisoned for like probably I don't know, like 5 or something years or something.
But we also don't see anything from that time skip. She talks about how, like, Ariel, like, allowed me to, like, get through all of that. He's, like, what really made me, like, not go fucking crazy while I was there. I would have liked to see that, though,
We're watching Maquia. We're not watching Ariel when the promised flower blooms. I agree, though. That's something I was talking about where I think this movie would do well with just a little bit longer of a script so that it could have fleshed some stuff out like that. I don't think it's that big of a deal, though. I mean, we've had plenty of other fucking time skips before. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I feel like his relationship with his wife isn't like that significant in the grand scheme of things anyways.
Did she get imprisoned after Ariel left? Is that what happened?
Yeah, Ariel went to go join the army, and then she very quickly got captured by the Imperials.
Did they show that?
Yes, they did. She was like fucking. It was like right after Ariel left. She was in her apartment, and then somebody breaks through her window.
Oh, that was the window scene. Okay.
Yeah, and then her friend comes and knocks on the door, and she's not there.
Yeah, I was about to say the scene I remember after that is like she's in a cell with like Krim or whatever, or maybe the Elder. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was Krim. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like very confused as to what happened. Okay.
Are the Eorfs an allegory for Jews?
I assume not.
I don't think so.
I do like the comparison of the different types of like the mystical beings too, with like the Renato, and it's they're all just fucking used up and they're just like literally burning away from overuse, and that's kind of what happened with the Eorfs too. I like the comparison you can draw there.
Yeah, but they're also so fucking heavy-handed about that comparison too.
So they're fucking badass. They're dragons that burst into goddamn flames. That shit's sick.
I called them Lorfs throughout the entire movie, personally.
I liked the concept. I don't even know if it's a concept or whatever you want to call it, but basically they were trying to depict like this kingdom. While they're trying to be right and just, you can definitely see some corruption, especially from the outside looking in, because all this kingdom wants is to like gain power and amass it. Which in the form of the Renatos, they're just losing them. They're burning up. They're losing that. They acknowledge it. They're like, hey, we're losing our dragons. And then like, oh, well, we have to have the Eorf so that way we can have immortality. And that like it's almost like a status thing. Like they had to have status, and that was basically like it was like a kingdom like doomed to fail, at least from my perspective.
How do you see them trying to portray the kingdom as just and right?
Because they're trying to show us the perspective from like inside the kingdom. That's why I said from the outside looking in, you can definitely see it was just them trying to gain power and try to be better than everybody else. But like the big
thing I think you're supposed to draw from that is that this kingdom's way of trying to amass power is just wrong. Like they're trying to use the power of other things when they should be trying to look more inwards. All these other nations came together, and I'm assuming the passage of time ended up producing a lot more weapons and different capabilities, which is what they're able to use against the kingdom and take it over. Whereas the kingdom was really centered on like their one goal of let's make our fucking bloodline pure with immortality and use badass dragons and shit, instead of like, hey, let's make guns so we can fucking shoot them. I feel like that's generally what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to agree with the kingdom with other fucking dumbasses.
Yeah. I legitimately was very sad when I was like coming to terms with this kingdom is ending the dragons, and now they are responsible for ending the Eorf race. It made me like world-buildingly very sad.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Shit.
But then we get that scene at the very end. I don't know how far I looked at, if I was supposed to look into it too far. We get that like one like screenshot bit at the end where it's just like a bunch of just Eorfs playing in like a spring or whatever. Is that like showing that the population is growing and
I
thriving
don't. You
again.
can look into that however you want. I think it's just supposed to be like this is where the Eorfs are living with the Renato now. That's just kind of like their little secret area.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if they didn't die out. That'd be so sweet.
I'm assuming not.
Yeah.
All right, we ready to rank?
I think so. Dylan, what'd you rank this one?
It's really tough, dude. I'm between two rankings right now.
Which one is it?
That's what I'm trying to decide. I'm gonna go with... Yeah, fuck it. I'll go with the other one. I'm gonna go S-.
Wow. Number one, Maquia hater over here. I'm going with A-.
Holy shit.
Still a very respectable ranking, regardless of your criticism. Though obviously, I feel like you like the initial part of the movie a lot. I'm also giving it an S-. I have very little flaw with this film personally. Again, like I said, it's one of my favorites. I think it's gorgeous. I think it does a really good job of ripping emotion out of you, in a not a very exploitative way, I would say. But it's kind of hard to fucking say that. There's a lot of emotionally charged scenes, and I think they're well done, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And the ending is a little bit rushed. I wish it was longer, but I still think it's a really good movie and absolutely worth your time.
Number 2, Maquia hater. I'm giving it an A.
Holy fucking smokes, guys. It landed an A+ overall.
Wow.
Nice.
Which is a pretty good rank.
Rather respectable, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
One of the better anime movies we've seen. We've seen some garbage.